we are lucky enough that they are going to actually split one of these opals for us live. This is so special, so I'm going to stand back.
So I'd love to tell you a little bit about the Broken River mining story and a little bit about Boulder Opal. Okay, so if you can see here on the book, the dark shaded area is the only place in the world that you find Boulder Opal, which is what we're looking at on the table today. Nowhere else in the world. Okay, we have two mines here, two areas that we mine, and this is where everything you see on the table comes from, one of these two mines. The mines have slightly different material in different places, so that's why distance-wise it's 200 miles between the mines. So when I say it's 200 miles, it is 200 miles of a very small amount of bitumen road and the rest is dirt road. It's not even gravel, so if it rains you won't get along there. And I've driven this trip several times, this 200 miles, and never passed a vehicle. So it's remote, right? Very remote. But let's go into the story a little bit about Boulder Opal and Australian Opal, because you may be able to pick up a lighter shaded area in the book there, right? Once upon a time, a large inland sea in Australia, around about 2,500 miles across that sea. Coober Pedy, Anamuka, and all the Australian opal fields are on this great, the Great Artesian Basin, this inland sea. So it has something to do with the formation of the opal. But for Coober Pedy, Anamuka, these guys down here, their sediment came into the inland sea from Antarctica. So it had a saltwater origin coming into here. Where for us there was a row of volcanoes along the Great Barrier Reef here somewhere, and our sediment coming into what's called the Winton Formation, the dark shaded area, that was freshwater in origin, as is Lightning Ridge. So this material coming in was freshwater, this material coming from this direction, that was all from Antarctica and saltwater. So turning the page, this is my mining camp out here, and this is on the northern field up near Yarrika in Queensland. But you see the flat top mesa mountain there? That flat top mesa is the floor of what was once, a long time ago, the inland sea. So erosion has taken all this away, and I mine, my opal level is around about 25 yards, give or take, below what is now the floor, but obviously millions of years ago it would have been a bit higher than that. But that, where I find the opal, 25 yards, give or take, is the zone.
Are they found in boulders or are they found in caves?
Okay, no, they're found in boulders. Okay. It's a concretion. So my boulder level runs along here, and that boulder level is quite definable in elevation above sea level, 190, 200 metres above sea level at my area. So you have a zone of boulders all through there. Boulders, concretions, very common. Opal, not so. But you can see this fault where the ground has moved there. Okay, opal was once upon a time a fluid, and that fluid seeping down through there picked up the right trace elements.
This little crack right here.
Yeah, you can see the ground movement, right? And that is, I would consider, a better chance to find opal than over here where it's really solid. Okay, no penetration for moisture. And this is one, of course we use machinery. You can see the Winton Formation, the sandstone. You can see the concretion. We're going to talk about the concretion in just a moment. You can see where the opal fluid has filled up the concretion with the precious opal. Let's talk a little bit about Boulder Opal, how it forms. Okay, give or take 65 million years ago, that sediment coming in from that row of volcanoes to the east brought with it some form of organic matter. Could have been a bit of bark, a branch off a tree, a seed pod, something like that, settled in the mud down in the bottom of the river, and it was the carbon that was in that piece of organic matter started attracting the minerals and the particles from the soil around it, growing into that mud ball, the mud ball being anything from the size of my fist to something this sort of size, so thick, going to weigh about 400 pounds, okay? And then there was a point in time the river dried up, and when the river dried up, the mud ball dried out, and shrinkage cracks occurred within the boulder, the concretion. But for me, the most important thing was that opal fluid seeping down, picking up the right trace elements, infiltrated into those voids and cavities in the rock, and that's what produced my opal. Okay, how does opal get its colour? Opal, it's all about colour. Opal is a silica, as is agates, quartz, jasper. Silica is very common in the world, very common. But the difference is, opal is the only silica that is made up of spheres, tiny little spheres, okay? All them other guys are crystals, and it doesn't matter, the shape of the crystal determines what it is. These little spheres work much like the rainbow, so it is a refraction of light, where with a crystal you look to the light. With an opal, it's like the rainbow in that you have the sun behind you, you have the little spheres, the raindrops, the light refracting, coming back in the different colours. The same thing is very similar in opal.
He's showing us something that is incredibly special for us.
You may hold it.
Huh?
Don't run.
I don't even want to know what this is worth. You can't put a price on it.
You can't put a price on it. It's super special. It's a museum piece. But it's a Septarian nodule that is filled with precious opal. Very rare. We know of probably 7 of them in the world. Okay? But at some point in time, that's going to be sliced.
Folks, this is so incredible. And Ashley, like I said, is so knowledgeable, and you'll never see anything like this.
It all cuts easy with a diamond saw, but it's
so
just.
much. I'm like, oh.
But it is quite heavy, isn't it, for its size?
Yeah,
okay, so I'd like to take you up to the front, if you may, and just talk a little bit about the difference between solid opals when you're buying it to put it into jewellery. Okay, so let's wander up to the front. Okay, so one of the things when you're buying an opal, it's very important to know a little bit of its history. So the first 2 things that you're asked when you're pricing opals is A, what is the country of origin? Okay, Australian opal is all sedimentary, right? All the other opals in the world are volcanic, pretty much volcanic sort of origin. Mexican opal, Ethiopian opal, all those. So the country of origin is number 1, and then what is the background tone of the colour of the stone? So that of course means that the famous black opal commands the highest price, and then they work their way down, and there's some 15 or 16 criteria in pricing opal. So it's the play of colour, the pattern of colour, the brilliance of colour. Does it have a one-way flash, or does it look at you all the way around? So in pricing it's quite complicated to get it right.
So we are lucky enough that they are going to actually split one of these opals for us live in front of, so we can see the vein that goes through it. This is so special. So I'm going to stand back.
Right.
And
okay, so what we're doing here, this is part of the breaking down process after we bring the opal back from the mine and we start the saw. We start to expose the veins. So this is something that we're going to do now that is probably only done on about 10% of the stones that we mine as we are breaking it down. So don't everybody hit their opal like this, because there'll be sad days, right? Okay, if the opal, you have to have a very close look at the opal vein to make sure it's got a natural split in it, because if it has, you might as well do the split like we're going to do, because if you were to grind down on it, that split's going to flake off and you're going to lose it anyhow. So our goal is maybe make 2 rather than only having 1. So It's not done on every piece. The pieces are selected that we do this. So Sam, I'll hand over to my friend Sam, and he'll explain what he's going to do.
Well, what we're going to do is just, there's a natural split in the stone, and we're just going to try and separate it. So all I'm going to do is get a little tap and hope it splits. And it did.
Right,
Okay.
I'm just going to put a little bit of water so you can see what it looks like polished.
And that's what's come out of it.
Look at that.
So that's the first time in 65 million years this piece of opal has seen the light of the sun.